In this Saturday's Wisdom Talk, I will take you through what digital fraud is and what our shared responsibilities are. Digital push has certainly helped in the way we transact business and contributed to transparency and accountability. Any technology can bring challenges and so does opportunities. Let's see the nuts and bolts of it. Moneycontrol.com reports that the share of suspected fraudulent digital transaction attempts originating from India increased 28.5% over the 12 months ending March 21 compared with the previous 12 months. Even losses from fraudulent identities have increased. Why is this so? Chaos caused by COVID-19, crisis, a changing e-commerce landscape, the advent of new marketplace platforms, payment moving online, increasingly digitizing the banking services, new consumer expectations, more sophisticated fraud tactics, unclear legal jurisdiction of cross-border fraud, and technological advancements are all the reasons, and they've all contributed to what we are seeing today. Digital transactions have certainly made our life easier, but is our money safe? With cutting-edge technology, operating bank accounts and making fund transfers is now easy. However, should we be worried about online scams that we routinely hear about? Can our accounts be compromised to frauds like phishing, smishing, and more? Are our banking systems foolproof enough for those scams not to occur? Most of us are not technology savvy. Hence, do we even realize when we receive a text message or an SMS or an email that it could be fake? There are several ways to fool and rob money. Some fraudulent practices include identity theft, phishing, cloning, smishing, and wishing. Our mobile number is common to all these scams. Access to the mobile phone, knowingly or unknowingly, opens gates to the financial fraud. The text messages that we receive could be phishing scams via the SMS. It is called smishing since SMS messages are used. It is similar to catching fish by throwing bait into the water. It is used to lure or part with personal or financial information. The smishing messages are disguised, where the scamsters impersonate government agencies, banks, or other companies, lending authenticity for their actions. Most times, you are asked to provide usernames, passwords, credit and debit card numbers, PINs, and other sensitive information. If instead of SMS messages, if someone calls you for similar details, posing as a bank official, it is called wishing. They will promise to transfer money directly to your account under some lottery scheme or as prize money. The message typically may say, your account can be credited with rupees 1 lakh and enter your details and check now. They may provide a link and you may be asked to click on it. Believe me, if you click on this link, your account will be milked dry. We also receive a message routinely from various agencies and banks that say government agencies, banks, and other legitimate companies never ask for personal or financial information. Treat this as a serious message and never click on any links or suspicious messages you may receive in the SMS or via SMS. Do not even ask the sender to stop contacting you. If you reply, it means that your phone number is active and you read all such messages. Clicking the link will only infect your mobile with a virus or malware designed to steal your personal or financial information stored on it. Further, it will trigger more messages in future, which could be similar in nature. It's better to delete such SMSs immediately after reporting it to the bank or to the customer care number mentioned on the reverse side of the card. When you receive an email and if you happen to click on the link, verify the URL on the side or on the site to which it leads to. Check if there is an S at the end of HTTP, or you must see HTTPS on the URL indicating that it's a secure site. Also check if there is a padlock symbol at the upper right or the bottom corner of your browser window, which ensures a security certificate for that website that you're browsing. Above all, remember the proverb, curiosity killed the cat. As per the data released by the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, the country was hit by over 50,000 bank frauds in the last decade. The ICICI, SBI, HDFC banks have all reported a number of cases. Of the total 53,334 cases of frauds reported during 2008-9 to 2018-19 fiscal years, involving a massive 2.05 lakh crores of rupees, 6,811 cases were reported by the ICICI Bank, involving rupees 5,033 crore. We must be extra vigilant while using the credit and debit cards, especially at ATMs, hotels, or malls, where card swiping machines are used. Scamsters can clone the card, a process of copying card details using technology or software and transforming it to another card. Devices that allow one to do cloning are called skimmers. A mobile repairer can also clone the cards if he is into such practices. Ethics counts. Now, one needs an ATM pin to actually withdraw the money, even if one clones a card. So how then is the pin captured? It's very, very simple. There is generally a camera installed near the keypad. Look for it. That captures the number. There is another way of cloning called SIM swap. SIM swap. The scamsters manage to get the new SIM card issued against a registered mobile number through the mobile service provider or mobile service provider. After this, they will receive an OTP on the fake SIM card and start withdrawing funds from the bank account. Whatever be the mode, They're all called identity thefts. Though most of the banks keep improving the security measures, is it really only up to us to follow the basic security rules? Should the banks also bear some of the cost incurred? Is phishing problem not a shared responsibility? Why should only the customers suffer? Does their responsibility end after sending a warning message? Should it not be a shared responsibility between the customers, banks, and the business houses? However, the challenge is detecting fraudulent transactions even as we assume that the bank's security systems were in place and were also operational. The fraudulent website and the fraudsters are all outside the banking systems. Unfortunately, the banks seem to be alerted to the scam only when the customers notify them of suspicious transfers. The RBI issues periodically the Master Direction on Digital Payment Security Controls and updates them. The last was in a couple of years ago. Though these are guidelines that say financial institutions should actively monitor for phishing campaigns targeting the financial institutions and its customers, or that immediate action should be taken to report the phishing attempts to service providers to facilitate the removal of malicious content or alert its customers of such campaigns and advise them of the security measures to adopt to protect against phishing. There is a lot missing in this than said. Can these guidelines form a basis on which legal liabilities can be determined? For the record, no reported cases were ever brought to the courts based on the breach of these guidelines. What does that indicate? Should we relook at the laws stipulating greater responsibility on the parts of the banks to address phishing? Even if the bank's security was in top order and proper, are systems outside the bank that monitor them adequate and functioning? If this were to be done effectively, would it amount to mimicking banks' websites and monitoring personal mobiles and SMS systems? Does it become a privacy issue? There are artificial intelligence algorithms to monitor. Would using them affect banking confidentiality? Suppose we use them. What happens? Should we let go traditional rules-based risk assessment and instead use machine learning-based approaches, which are rooted in artificial intelligence and which can better recognize and combat the digital fraud? This can distinguish between a good customer and a fraudulent customer behind a transaction, unlike with rule-based systems, which can crash when the data size grows very large. Whatever be the security followed, it is necessary that the users are adequately educated and are responsible enough to follow the guidelines. There is a simple rule here, a rule of legislation, a rule of business, a rule of life. Beyond a certain point, complexity is fraud. You can apply that rule to left-wing social programs, but you can also apply that rule to credit derivatives, hedge funds, and all the rest of it. So said P.J. O'Rourke, a research fellow and a journalist. This may be cynical, but it contains within it a vital truth. And the truth is, with complexity comes fraud. Let's be vigilant to the complexity of technology and also to the fraud that may come along with the complexity of that technology. Friends, that is the end of today's presentation. I hope these weekend presentations add value to your understanding of the technology interventions in our lives and their influence on our lives. My endeavor has been to make you aware of the positives as well as the concerns, challenges, negatives, so our lives can be a little more pleasurable. As is my own, I promise to return the next Saturday with yet another episode of my weekly sojourns of Saturday Wisdom. Until then, thank you, namaskar, and dhanyavad.